well, if I'd like. Mayor Spikkin Scots here. Last time I did this I mentioned about dikes. Well, this is a dike. I'm sitting by a dike, the Altoon Road. So there's a good example of a dike there. Probably made, I would say, in the 1800s, this dike. Still stunning, so very robust. If you didn't knock them over or car fence posts through them, they kind of survive pretty well until some disaster overcomes them. But anyway, few Scottish words, few Scots words, Doric words. Some of them seem kind of obvious, but actually, if you didn't ken, you didn't ken. The word Y, which would be spelt, I suppose, W-Y-E, Y, just means way. Fit Y to Tarland. Well, how do you get to Tarland? What way to Tarland? So if I'm sitting, you turn that way, down the end of the road, turn right, and you're about a mile to the village. So fit white to Tarland, there you go. Another good one is sklite. Now, I'm inclined to think sklite is to slip and fall. So if you were going through some dubs or some mud, let's imagine you're at Glastonbury, suitably dubby kind of place. By the end of the weekend, wouldn't it be infeasible to imagine lots of folk going sklite? So sklite, if you're looking for it in literature, the Mucking of Geordie's Bear went sklite in a rotten Neap. So it's slipping and something a bit skitey, slippy. So there you go. If that happens, you've had a mishanter. A mishanter is an accident. So there you go. That kind of thing, if it's kind of dubby, you'd say it's a bit aura, a bit roch, a bit unsavoury. But it's really, its origin is, it's mere to describe something it's kind of left over. So in farming terms, which I kind of touch on because I bide in the countryside and brought up in a farm, an aura man is the man that got the odd jobs or leftover jobs. So nae as important as the ploughman, which would be much further up, or the grieve, or the bailey, something like that. So there you go. So he got the odd jobs. On a farm, and this, as I mentioned in Mucking of Geordie's Bear, I'm not sure, a Bism. Now, something very close I'll touch upon, but a Bism is a broom. And most farms would have a broom, or like some of you would doot it because it can be a bit clorty. but it's speaking about any particular, but anyway, a Bism is a brush. So you'd use a Bism to clean the clothes or clean out the byre. So a Bism. Very close to Bism. Now a Bism is something quite different. That's I suppose a Bism would be like a dirty woman. So a bit clorty or dirty in her habits. But funnily enough can be used to describe a mischievous girl. So a girl that gets up to mischief, well, oh, you Bism. Used to hear folks say that, like my granny would say that. You can, if somebody does something a wee bit mischievous. So that's a bit different for the context of being a bit clorty or a bit of low morals, let's put it anyway. So there you go. So I was thinking about a few bits and pieces. There's quite a lot of French words in Scots, or words in Scots, French origins, and a good one is an ashit. Now an ashit or Ashi, it's a big serving dish, really. So that would be one that would be quite well kent. Kind of if you were serving up a hale salmon out of the oven, you would serve it in an ashit. Bit out in the middle of the table. Another good one is Tassie. That's a kind of cup. Good example of that is Robert Burns. Come bring to me a pint of wine and serve it in a silver Tassie. So Tassie, it's a type of cup, or like a tass. I think it's tass. I do speak French, or only more than a little bit of it, so maybe that would be quite close. Anyway, but there's a place here by Lumphanan. It's called Bog in Tassie. So I'd say that's a bog that's in an area. It's kind of almost like a cup, kind of quite sunken at the bottom. Oh, some hills. Anyway, it's my opinion, but it is a bit like it up there. Another good one is Jiget. So like a Jiget alarm, a leg alarm, for instance, would come from Jiget. Now that's French. And funnily enough, interestingly enough, that is for the word jig comes from. Famous Scottish type of dance tune, which you find in England and Wales and all over the world, really. But it has its oldest origins in Scotland. The first recorded mentions of the jig are definitely in Scotland. And if you didn't like the sound of that, go and head out with John Purser, the famous Scottish musicologist, because that's where I heard that from. So there you go, the jig is Scottish. So, actually, so is the reel, as it happens. This will probably annoy quite a lot of folk, but the earliest mention of the reel as a type of music comes from a witch trial overseen by King James VI. Nae King James I of England, because he wasn't King James I of England at that time. He was just King James VI of Scotland. At a witch trial, and one of the charges levelled at the witches were that they had been seen to be dancing the reel. Terrible. So anyway, the jig or the jiget. Another one, if you're a golfer, this will make sense to you. A caddy. Now, a caddy comes from cadet, French word for a boy. So you're like a kind of servant boy. So your caddy is your helper, your servant when you're out golfing. So that's far that word comes from. Fash, dinna fash yourself, dinna trouble yourself. Fash means trouble. Se fasher, I think, is where that comes from. Trouble or anger or to annoy. Dinna get annoyed. Dinna fash yourself. Or what a fash he was in. So it's like that type of thing. There's different interpretations of how you might say that. So that's a few French words. There's one or two, if I'm thinking about it, because I'm not going to do many more of these, because it could go on indefinitely, and then you'd be getting into speaking about a lot of stuff I don't really care about. So I think maybe 10 or 11, 12 might be enough. But there's one or two kind of like Scandinavian words. So whether these are Danish or Swedish or Norwegian origin, I'm not very sure. But bairn, for a child. Can you speak about the bairns? Certainly my folks did, the bairns, the children. Could be Danish, I think. Like house, I think is Danish. Abdi bides in a house here. When I was in Denmark, was at a castle called Hammerhus up on the coast. Could have had Hamlet performed there, because it looked very like it might have been appropriate. Another good one is bra, for good or excellent. Had a bra day. Very common. You still hear that quite a lot. After, for after. And another good one that folk kind of think very much is Scottish is a flitting or moving house. So a flitting, let's think, Granny Fraser's Flitting for a Bind to Aberdeen, famous song. Joe Gordon, quite a big hit with that back, would have been in his 50s or 60s, I suppose. Poor old Joe's dead now, but I did meet Joe once upon a time, quite a big star in Scotland in his day. And since we're firming, one final word, a gimmer. A gimmer's a Scots word for a yow that's between 1 or 2 years, 1 or 2 years old. But I suspect that's something you might hear if you're doing in like a Yorkshire, something like that. So there you go, 2 or 3 wordies again. So quite a lot for your money that time. That's quite a big one, quite a lot there. And I might just do one more. A dozen, a chuchter's dozen we'll call it. I do one more, probably the morning, that'll be enough. But that's quite a lot today, so there you go. Cheerio, folks.